All right. So if you haven't already seen, I did a YouTube short, just really quickly showing the whole Jaren Jackson thing. But I have to bring it up. And first off, let me just start by saying Jaren Jackson, I don't believe, is a part of any wrongdoing. So do not throw all of the concerns and the hatred and everything towards him. The poor guy's just playing his, he's doing his job. He's playing basketball. I'm sure he'd love to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. And I'm sure he'd love to have more blocks and steals on his resume, but not at the expense of getting this much hate. And I don't think necessarily this is an entire Memphis Grizzlies operation either. I know obviously it's great for the Grizzlies if he wins Defensive Player of the Year. I've seen on YouTube, kind of did some research on this because, as you guys know, I've made bets in the past and I've said, Kyrie Irving has had 2, assists taken away, or, I needed a steal. He got a steal and it was taken away. I had a Markelle Fultz situation where I was watching the game. He had a steal. They took away the steal. So we've seen it before, right? And look, stat keepers are all human. It's not robot. It's not like the NBA 2K games where this happens in the game and the game doesn't make a mistake. It's all programmed in. It's all connected, if you will. So it's not anything like that. But we have started to see this happen more and more and more. And let me just start by saying this. This is a colossal mistake if this is the case. If it's even just by accident, this is huge. I mean, this is so bad. Just think about how many people have lost prop bets where, they bet the under on Jaren Jackson, say 2.5 steals, assists, or steals and blocks for a game, and they lost that. That's one person. Now think of all of the thousands of people that bet on that prop. And then, take it a step further, you talk about fantasy, you talk about DFS. So this really changes kind of a lot. And the NBA has already denied this, but I don't think they're just denying this. I think they're definitely going to have to be involved and get invested and, really dig into this and have a true investigation, not just blow it off. You can say what you will about them going over and watching and having guys rewatch all the everything to make sure the stat correction is done. But the proof is in the pudding here, and it's not a guarantee. But why does Jaren Jackson have 66 blocks at home to his road total of 37? 22 steals at home to his road total of 12. There are multiple, situations where even Memphis Grizzlies fans are making videos and saying, you know what, I got to admit, this play where Zion goes up for the layup and loses the ball, and they're giving Jaren Jackson the block. I don't agree with it. And there's a lot of that. So again, let me reiterate, I don't think Jaren Jackson is part of any wrongdoing. I don't think this is a Grizzlies operation where they're trying to do this. This doesn't go deeper. And I don't think the NBA is obviously doing this. So that leaves one thing. And unfortunately, if this is by mistake, then he's just not doing a good job. And I don't want the guy to get fired. I'm not doing this to bring the attention of getting a guy fired or anything like that. It's already being talked about, so I'm giving my thoughts on it. My goal is not to get this man fired, but the scorekeeper, stat keeper, whatever you want to call him, for the Memphis Grizzlies is clearly, very clearly not doing his job with Jaren Jackson at home. It's kind of ridiculous at this point, honestly. You can say what you will, and maybe he's not trying to do this on purpose, but let's look at the fact that even if he's not trying to, this is incredibly bad. This is fraud. I mean, this essentially stat fraud would be real. I mean, you're taking away money from people who bet the under. You're hurting people in DFS who are going up against Jaren Jackson. And you can say, oh, well, he only fudged this one block or this one steal. Yeah, that's great and all. But as we know with prop betting, betting in general, it doesn't matter if you missed your 12-leg parlay by one leg and the one leg had 25 points out of CJ McCollum, and his prop, like, to win the thing, he needed 26 because it was 25.5. You don't get all of that. You don't win that parlay. You lose. Sometimes it is just that one play. And so think about it. I saw a bunch of videos before I went and made this video, and I'm just thinking about it in terms of, I kept hearing, this one, maybe you could say this one's a little ridiculous. And then maybe this one's a little ridiculous. Well, did you just hear yourself? You said they were a little ridiculous. You said a block and a steal. Okay. And if I'm not, recalling correctly, let me know. But most of his prop bets for the blocks and steals, if you combine them in the combo, they're 2.5 over under. So that's 2 right there that he received. So if you were betting on the under, you, my friend, are at a disadvantage. And now if you really do that every single game, because say you just, I gave him an extra block, it doesn't matter. It does matter. If you do that a game, that's a huge discrepancy. That's a lot of money that this league is costing if that's the case. Sports betting, fantasy football or fantasy basketball, excuse me. And then in addition to that, DFS, daily fantasy. So I think this is a legit issue. And that's the thing, is that when you're averaging, 5.5 steals plus blocks per game at home, and then on the road, you're averaging 2.81. 2.81 is a hell of a job, okay? Let me be real here and say Jaren Jackson is very good at defending the rim and, basically stealing the passing lanes, right? He is a very good defender, and he belongs in the conversation. But when you're talking about a 5.5 steals plus blocks per game to a 2.81, and one is at home where there's one scorekeeper and the other one is on the road where there's a different scorekeeper, that my friend, is where you get this conspiracy. That's where you get all of this controversy. And that's essentially what we're seeing. Basically, he's seeing an 89% increase in blocks, 120% increase in steals at home, despite playing more road games on the year. That's right. Jaren Jackson has played more road games than home games. He's also missed games due to injury. So this is kind of ridiculous. He had plus 10,000 odds to win Defensive Player of the Year before he returned from his foot injury. And now he is the odds-on favorite that is higher than 200, minus 200 odds. So he is the favorite now to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. And you, my friend, if you, stat keeper, put a bet down on him to win, say you knew that you could do something about it, plus $100, you throw $100 down, on the plus 10,000 odds, you're going to come home with a lot of money. And so that's the thing here. I would not rule it out, and it's not something we're seeing all across the league or anything like that, not yet anyway. It's something that I've noticed. I think stat keepers miss things. I think they take away things that don't need to be taken away. I'm not necessarily saying that, there's a giant conspiracy across the NFL or the NBA. I'm not saying there's a giant conspiracy across a team. I'm not saying the Grizzlies are a part of that. But what I will say, 100%, without a doubt, this looks really, really bad, and people are going to have a backlash towards it. And it makes sense. If you were betting on somebody else to win the Defensive Player of the Year, and then this guy wins it, and again, he's really good, but is he this good? And that's the question. It's one thing if he's earning the stats, and he's definitely earning a lot. I mean, the guy had 7 blocks in one game, and I mean, you could argue 1 or 2 of them weren't blocks, right? They were given to him. I saw Brandon Clark block one, and they gave it to Jaren Jackson. But still, the guy is still capable. It's not like you're taking, Russell Westbrook, who doesn't block 5 a game, and the 6'3" guard, you're putting like 5 blocks in the score column. Then it would be obvious. But you can get away with it for a little bit when you're talking about a guy who is a premier rim protector. And so that is what has happened here. And I think it took John Assad on Twitter at JNBA blog, I think it is. Want to give credit where credit's due. And this is again raw. And then add massive 6666 on Reddit. I may hate Reddit, but Reddit has uncovered things in the past, and it goes to show you when you're playing with this much money, and you talk about whether you want to admit it or not. We have corruption everywhere, whether it's on the government level, the state level, in the movie scenes, in the sports industry, whatever. I'm sure there's corruption. I mean, we've literally seen guys get suspended for betting and gambling on their own team. So there's definitely going to be that. There's human nature. So I don't think it's impossible to suspect that a scorekeeper who's not making as much money as, say, the NBA players is trying to get a little bit of a chunk of change out of the job. And I'm not saying he 100% did, but I'm saying this discrepancy is a problem and it's cost people a lot of money. And and that's the thing, is that it's really just a bad look. The only people who won out of this are the people that constantly bet on Jaren Jackson, or the people that took a shot in the dark and bet on him at 10,000 odds. If you did that, you, my friends, are set up for a lot of money if this doesn't actually get fixed. I don't think it's going to get fixed. I think this would create a bad precedent for the NBA to go back and be like, well, actually, we're going to take away half his blocks. It would be an uprising, because if you do that, now you have all the people that were, sports betting the under, and now you're saying that they won. So now what, are sports books going to give all that money back in, December, November? No, they're not. So it would be, this has the potential to be massive, and this could be the start of something big. So just keep an eye on this story. I don't think Jaren Jackson's at fault. I don't even think the Memphis Grizzlies are at fault. I think Jaren Jackson's a hell of a defensive player, and he can score as well. I think John Assad is doing great work on Twitter, trying to expose something that he believes is worthy being exposed. And here's how I'll say this. I think that there's something here. I'm not saying necessarily the scorekeeper 100% did it, full knowing what he was doing, and the fact that he probably bet on the plus 10,000 odds. That was something that John Assad mentioned, that he had plus 10,000 odds before coming back with the left foot injury. But I do think there was some negligence here. So, there's something that has to happen, and I think something will happen, whether it's internal or we all find out about it. I don't know. But my thought process is this: keep an eye on your stats. Keep an eye on it. If you lose a bet and you clearly didn't deserve to lose the bet, make some noise. Look at how big this thing got. You can say that this person's just an upset bettor and, oh, well, maybe this just don't be gambling all your money. That's not as simple as it is, okay? If you go in and you win a bet and they basically tell you lose because, the stat keeper sees otherwise, that, it's going to become an issue. So, hey, obviously legalizing sports betting is great. Love it. I think it's obviously, a great thing. And, when you have a responsible, betting run and you're not just blowing all your money, you're not taking your paycheck and blowing your paycheck when you can't afford your rent or anything like that, then yeah, sports betting is great. It's good for the economy and everything, but it goes back to the corruption thing. And if you have that one bad seed that's taking advantage, and potentially the scorekeeper for Memphis, I'm not saying 100%, but it's not good. It's a pretty big allegation to give to somebody, so that's why I'm not going to say 100% I believe they're doing it full knowing, and with the fact that they have money on Jaren Jackson to win Defensive Player of the Year, because we don't know. But now that everybody's talking about it, I'm giving my thoughts. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. A little bit of a different video, but man, I thought this was absolutely fascinating, and this could have some really bad, domino effects moving forward. So it's something to keep in mind, because if you're one of those people that worries about betting prop bets or whatever, you might think twice before, putting one on Jaren Jackson now moving forward. But that's going to do it for me. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next video. Later, folks.